So this might be a bit of an odd video, and I'm trying to make it not be an odd video, and I'm trying to make some valid points. So the title of this video is there a hidden hand? You know, what is the hidden hand? Do we have some, covert group of mysterious people in the world controlling things? Now, I remember a few years ago in the news media, I think it was mainly the financial news media. They spoke many times about debunking the notion of a hidden hand in economics. And I thought, that's fine. I can see that myself, because if you look at market forces, and you can look at market forces, you can extrapolate that meaning into price action of things. So you can look at, for example, labour cost, you can look at share prices, you can look at natural material costs, and it sort of, can make sense. And, having a hidden manipulator there probably, isn't the valid explanation, because the general economics can explain an environment. Now, so on the face of it, yes, general straightforward economics do explain, they explain the behavior of a marketplace. And, once again, the notion of there being a hidden hand, is more of a conspiracy theory, or for some people, it's something that simply offers an explanation, why something might be. And okay, so over the years, I've had conversations with people, and they tend to be more centered around a discussion that involves finance and the stock market and prices of things. In particular, cryptocurrencies always tends to bring along this sentence of, is there price manipulation? Does price manipulation actually take place? Now, I think many financial people will understand that some normal, legitimate price manipulation takes place in the simple fact that people buy a stock. And I noticed the other day that the Bitcoin, for example, had actually gone up a little bit, which would, indicate that Bitcoin investors out there were most probably buying Bitcoin because they wanted to. They thought that was the thing to do. And of course, it increases the buying price at that point in time. But I suppose it's what I'm trying to talk around is this notion of a hidden hand, in significant places, that does have a general big impact on the stock market and on financial things and on maybe policy. It's a tricky one to explain. It's a tricky one to talk about if you're trying to be very serious about it. And the reason that I've had the conversation many times with people is because we have really wanted to know, is there a hidden force in this discussion, behind geopolitics or mainstream narrative or the finance industry or this other big industry? Is there a hidden hand influence that we have to be aware of? Because straight away I feel like saying, or I think it should be said, even if there was a mysterious hidden hand, that doesn't necessarily immediately it doesn't necessarily immediately indicate that it's a bad thing. It could mean that there is something there that indicates policy. There might be a jolly good reason for it. For example, A country doesn't really want to explain everything about its trade policy or its manufacturing policy, because of course that provides information to other people in the context of competition. So of course you wouldn't do that. But is there a hidden force in policy, in government policy, in big company policy? Is there a hidden hand there that's having some impact on policy that might be to the detriment of people? And I suppose that's the big point I'm trying to make here. Oh, well, it's the thing I'm trying to talk about here. Is there a hidden hand? Now, once again, the reason that the hidden hand, I believe, was mentioned originally, and the reason why it's mentioned today, is because I suppose it's a consequence of conspiracy theorists wanting to, or via their conduct, suggesting that they don't believe the narrative and they think that there is another explanation, and then they're able to explain why their theory might be valid because things don't make sense, from the mainstream news media. Right, so that's fine, because the person's basically saying, hey, look, I don't really believe what I'm being told. I think there's another reason for it. And these are the obvious reasons for it. For example, a company might want to make profit. And so therefore, they've been able to speak to the news media and sell them a narrative, or convince them of a narrative that they have to follow. Or it's good if they follow because someone's profit and loss account does better somewhere else. So a lot of the time, a lot of the conspiracy theories that are out there are because people that simply don't accept the mainstream narrative or a main narrative, simply want to think about another reason why something might exist. Often it's as simple as that. It's simply, look, I don't believe what I'm being told. I think there might be another reason for it. And so this is why I'm going to theorize and offer my thought. And even if it's called a conspiracy theory, I don't mind. It's my thought anyway. So I think that does happen. Now, so going back to I suppose the title of this video is there a hidden hand? To varying degrees, I suppose there is. Quite simply, there's the market forces. Now, that might, for some people, be considered to be a hidden hand. As simple as that. Just basic economics are the hidden hand, is the market forces behind the price of these stocks over here. Right now, in the world, many people want to purchase this item. It has inflated the price, and it's as simple as that. There is no spooky person in the background, trying to make everyone's life difficult. Market forces are the reason behind this thing increasing value. Even though there's another explanation here that might indicate a hidden hand or a spooky person is has a covert agenda, wants the price to increase. That might be the explanation there. But in this video, once again, I'm trying to get to, is there, a spooky group of people in the background trying to impact everybody else's life? I suppose that's where I'm going here. And, believe it or not, over the years, I've actually, modeled this. I've actually applied to the best of my ability some understanding around, what a hidden hand might be. If it is people, who are those people? Where are they based? And how many is there of them? So, I do have a theory myself, and I suppose I could offer that, although maybe not just yet. In this video, I'm really wanting to chat about the possibility of a hidden hand, because I don't think it discounts, or I don't think it it's a bad thing really, the fact that you are discussing it, because you are employing a little bit of deconstruction or a little bit of understanding. You're simply trying to understand subject matter, so it's not too bad. But I must admit, I have had these conversations where I've thought, I've been seriously, chatting about a group of scary people trying to impact everybody else's life, to their benefit. At times I joke myself. I think, if I was a dictator of planet Earth, how would I want everyone, to behave? And straight away I think, well, being cruel to animals isn't cool, so I'll stamp that out. And antisocial behavior isn't cool, so I want to stamp that out. And then you think, wow, what would that enable? Would I have to have zero tolerance on animal cruelty? Because straight away we have to deal with food production, because if I'm so heavy on animal cruelty, what about killing animals for food? Is my policy going to impact that? And straight away, you're hitting problems. Antisocial behavior. Should we just kill everyone who's bad? And of course, a lot of antisocial behavior is a result of some bad parenting, or because the person is a victim anyway, and being a victim of circumstance has forced them into antisocial behavior. So having a draconian policy that's terrible, that sounds a lot like zero tolerance. Of course, it isn't going to work. So when you start looking at geopolitics and you start to break it down, and you use deconstruction to understand stuff, you've heard the expression, down the rabbit hole. Well, that exists. You take any big, hot button topic in the news media, and you try and understand all the parts of it, and you deconstruct it. Very quickly, you find it's a massive, complicated area of thought, but it's a complex area anyway. And trying to find it, if there's a boogeyman, is very hard. Although I'm pretty sure there has been hidden hands or groups of people that have tried to be a hidden hand in policy formation. I'm pretty sure that exists, but it's probably more to do with a business selling something, and the motivation is simply profit. And I suppose if your motivation is always just profit, the likelihood of you being found out is very high anyway, because if you're trying to sell a product and that product's not very good, and you're wanting lots of people to buy it for this reason, eventually you're probably going to get found out anyway. And then when someone realizes it's all because of profit, it'll fail terribly that way. But today, do we have a hidden hand that tries to control people on planet Earth for some idealistic reason? We are straight into the realms of sci-fi movies and end of times, doomsday stuff. I quite like those movies actually. I certainly don't mind thought exercises and anything that ends up being a sci-fi movie. It's great. I think it's super, because these sci-fi movies they tend to take something that's real and a real issue in the world, and then they dramatize it and make it interesting for film. So that's great. But getting back to the real world, do we have a hidden hand that's there, that's trying to turn us all into robots or aliens or control the world? Yeah, it's a big one, because even if there was a group of people trying to do that, I think the job's so big and it's so complicated, it's so difficult, and it would be so leaky, and the opportunity for whistleblowers to blow it is so high, I think it would be hard. Plus also, I'm more interested in what on earth would they be really achieving. You know, if you controlled the world and you controlled a lot of people, you know, what would you do with all that responsibility, really? Because you would end up having to prescribe how people live and what they think and how they behave. And I imagine that's really hard work, because if you were that rich and powerful, or you had that much control over everything, surely you might want to focus on your private jet or your yacht, or focus on classical music or an interest that you might have, like watches. That would be a good one. You know, surely you would be a human being, and at some point you'd be sick of controlling everything and everyone. Or if you were a group of people trying to all agree on something that controls everyone, you know, that might be tricky. That might be really difficult. Because what I know about human nature and groups of people is we always fall out. You know, it's very difficult to fall out if there are two people only, but believe me, that is possible. But you take that to 3 people and I guarantee you can fall out. If you take that to 30 people, most definitely you are going to have drama and fallouts. And if you then go to 300, never mind 3 million, the inevitability of falling out and getting upset and drama taking place is 100%. And then to varying degrees, that drama and falling out is, you know, is on different scales. So this hidden hand, though I suppose over the years, you know, surely groups of people have got together and they've thought, let's dominate the world and use our military capability to do all this. I'm sure that that's been muted, and I'm sure that that's been spoken about. But, you know, think of how big that job is. You'd have to get America, China and Russia to sit down and literally all agree to get together and work out how they're going to control planet Earth. I mean, what a job that might be. I suppose you could do that as a thought experiment and bring all your academics in, and the moralists and sociologists and some science folks in, and you could discuss the life out of it, literally, and see how far you get. But you know, at some point, you know, you probably just want to go back to your kitchen and cook a good meal, or play with your private jet, or go to your helicopter flying lesson, or, you know, collect some wristwatches, or collect some artwork. You know, there comes a point where, as an individual, you just want to be an individual on planet Earth and get on with your chosen interest. And, you know, go to a concert, a music concert, or the cinema, or play some music, or learn something interesting. You know, are we really, you know, do we really live in a world where groups of people have got together to control everyone? I mean, yes, it's possible. A group of people might have got together, and even if they are famous and powerful and, well, they're probably not famous actually, but they might be very powerful, very wealthy, have lots of influence. But I think it's one heck of a big job. And, you know, yeah, sure, you know, there might be a group of people that think they are doing that. If they're going to be successful, I doubt it very much. And I think a lot of the stuff that's happening in the world, probably more is down to greed, human nature, and vested interest. Actually, that's not a bad way to leave this video. In fact, I think I might go there, actually. Yes, I'm going to conclude this video with, is there a hidden hand? And I'm going to answer that question in 2 ways. Number 1, is there a hidden hand or hidden hands? Likely, yes. Are they going to be effective? Or are they even a thing that's real and able to do anything? Yes and no, but even if it's a yes, I can't see them being successful. Okay, number 2, is there a hidden hand? Yes, likely, but it's probably more to do with large industry being mischievous, trying to strengthen their profit margins. And ultimately, I imagine they will fail, because these things always seem to fail. And at that, I think I'm going to conclude this video, because it's a tricky one, and I'm trying to make it interesting, and it's difficult. And I'm not sure I've made my point, but I've had a go. Anyway, I hope everyone is well, and we will come back again.